you so much for being here on a Sunday.
Thank you, Jyotsna.
Let's start by the Indian art market has grown incredibly in the last few years. We've seen that with the art fair. You've seen the kind of participation and the growth. There's a young collectors. There's an emergence of young collectors. People are investing. So from you, what are the key things a person should keep in mind when they are making a big ticket purchase, like maybe a modern master? Because that, the draw of the modern masters remains. So,
Yeah. So, in my understanding, there are a couple of things that are very important. The first is the understanding of the art that you're buying. Now, this probably comes only with some experience, and it takes time for it to really understand how. And I'm talking this not because you're passionate for the art, but because probably you're going to have some value coming out of it as an investment. And my comments obviously are primarily from a commercial sense that has to be looked at from that perspective. Yeah. So I would certainly go and check whether it's an original piece or not. Right. So when you're buying it from the right kind of dealers, or you're buying it from the artist. You need to have documentation. You need to have a certificate. And maybe enough evidence. You should pay by cash or money, whatever you pays. I would prefer if you're paying by a bank, banker's check, or in an evidence which you are able to demonstrate that it's a original piece that you've got it from the artist himself or from the right sources. It can't be that you paid some amount in cash and then you are later on not able to justify that this is something which actually comes from the artist himself. So the biggest challenge today is a lot of people have invested in art, but they don't have the documents to prove that this is the right one.
Yeah, so sometimes art is passed down, in families, and it is so that of course people would not. So how do you kind of?
So when you're passing it out, if you have the same sort of documentation, you should kind of try and take that as well.
Okay.
If you are not taking that, but you just got a piece of art, the biggest challenge then is that how do you go in when you're wanting to put it for an exhibition or for when you want to sell it out at a later stage. It's difficult for you to prove antecedents of where do you get it from, and there could be a fake which is probably claiming it to be an original one.
Yeah. Are there any current exemptions when you look at tax laws for art as an investment class?
Yeah, so art pieces essentially qualify as a capital asset for income tax purposes. Yeah. So, and now the taxation rates are at par. So whether you're selling any other asset or art, it's the 12.5% for the long-term gain. And you essentially have to, hold it for more than 2 years, and then you qualify for this preferential rate. You can certainly make some certain, investments in a real estate, or for the matter in some bonds, to save some money on that. But primarily, I think there's no great benefit over and above the other asset classes. In a way, yeah.
Okay. What about you advise people on when somebody's looking to diversify their portfolio and they want to invest in art? What is the key advice? How do you go about it? What would you give them? What advice would you give them?
Yeah. So remember, while I'm here at the art conference, the art is a very, very highly illiquid asset.
Yeah.
Right. So we all have to appreciate that. As much as the art appreciates, as it is as difficult for you to dispose it of if you really want the money tomorrow. Yeah. And in that sense, not more than about 5 or 6% of your portfolio should comprise of the artwork.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are some of the key regulatory considerations for HNIs and NRIs when investing in art, especially when you're acquiring high-value pieces and especially when it's across territories?
Okay. So the Indian regulatory landscape is not as evolved as one would want it to be, in the sense that you see art pieces essentially today as an individual you acquire under a LRS route under RBI. So it tells you that you can invest for $250,000 a year, and maybe as a family of 4 you can make it say $1 million there. But usually the large ticket arts pieces outside of India will be running into a couple of $1 million. So it's usually insufficient for you to make that kind of investment overseas. But at least the Indian side of the investments you can do. There's no limit for buying the Indian contemporary or the old artists here. So that's a growing market. Remember, we as a country are moving from a low income to a middle income. Then obviously, hopefully, we'll become a rich country at the end of it. With that, a lot of disposable income grows, and with that propensity, you will end up the people move towards premiumization of the purchases, and art will also grow, maybe at much higher rate in terms of investments, because the disposable income of the Indians is increasing. And in that sense, you will always find that the Indian art market will probably be as lucrative or probably more lucrative in terms of the returns on investment than a couple of overseas markets where probably the economies are stagnating and they're finding lesser, liquidity issues.
Yeah. So, from your experience in family settlements and successions, and can art be effectively introduced in estate, when the estates are being
It's already there. So most of the large ticket family settlements, art finds part in the wills. It also finds part in the settlement issues amongst the high net worth individuals. And in some cases, it becomes the bone of contention. Some people are so possessive about it that, that is something. I mean, I know of a family settlement where they have actually asked for a piece of an art as a precondition to the whole settlement. The settlement might be running in worth thousands of crores, but that particular piece of art is something which, is at the center of the negotiation. So it is there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fight over a priceless piece of art.
People fight over the historical attachment to the particular piece. So suppose someone in your generations above have bought something, and you attach an emotional value to that piece of, maybe it's a piece of art, but to that particular object, people just do fight over that.
I'll let the audience also come in and ask you a couple of
Sure.
questions. But before that, just one question from me. So, because you've got so much experience in setting up offshore and onshore family offices, what are some key considerations for establishing a family office focused on art investments?
See, I haven't honestly found out any family office which is purely focused only on art. Because family office essentially today is focused only on diversifying the risk, getting a certain amount of return on the overall assets of the family. So everyone focuses on what is an optimal mix of the asset classes which they should have. And typically art will, either, so far the trend has been that individuals possess it and they keep it with themselves. But in terms of the family offices buying an art as an investment, that's also happening. But obviously the ticket sizes and the amount of money allocated for that is comparatively a small percentage due to illiquidity. I think what we really need for an art market here to gather momentum is more credibility, and I think some of the galleries are today providing those platforms where you have an auction which is quite regularly available. You can kind of figure out.
Auction houses, the data is listed on the
on
website.
The website, yeah.
Galleries, not so much because
True. So we have had three major changes in the Indian stock markets. First was establishment of a national stock exchange, and then obviously there was a paperless trading eventually. And then the dematerialization of shares was part of that. So today when you sell or buy a share, you don't care about whether the title is correct or good or not, because you're buying it on the stock exchange. When you're selling, you don't bother about whether you will get paid for it or not, because there is a mechanism to ensure that the money reaches you. Now, for any market to become as good, these are the attributes that's required. So I would urge all the people who are otherwise dealing in the art who are here, and maybe there are young people as well in the know. If there is a platform which is created, which probably provides transparency and which ensures that the buyers and the seller have full transparency available to the pieces that are being created,
Yeah.
I think it will go a long way.
Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.